Hello and welcome to the Alabama Renaissance Faire channel. My name is Christopher Crossland, and today I'd like to introduce William Freeman.
Hello, thanks for having me on your channel.
Thank you. Today I was wanting to know a few questions about costumes, character building.
Well, we can do that. That's something that I'm quite familiar with because I have been, first off, I've been with the Renaissance Faire for 29 years. Long time. I'm an old timer when it comes to that. And one of the things that I do with our fair is I play the herald and the steward to the king and queen. Now, when you start delving into history, you know that the herald was basically like the ambassador and messenger of the monarchs, and that's kind of what I do. Is I do all the public service announcements, announcing entertainment and special things at the fair. And I also represent the king and queen when they're not available, and that's a character that's just one of many that you can play. And then I play also the steward to the king and queen. In reality, in history, there'd probably be two different people. You know, there'd be a herald and there'd be a steward. But since we're volunteers, and I always like to say our kingdom is low budget, then I have to kind of take on multiple roles, as we all do for different things behind the scenes and at the fair. And we'll start with, you mentioned the costume workshop. Well, on the second Saturday of every October, and it starts at 9 o'clock, goes to 2 o'clock. It's at the Kennedy Douglas Center for the Arts. So if you can find Wilson Park, or you can even find the public library, the Florence Sargent Public Library, then you are right there, because either across the street from Wilson Park or kind of diagonal from the library is the Kennedy Douglas Arts Center. And they have a carriage house, garage type behind the Arts Center, and we have a workshop there. And it's totally free. All you need to do is, bare minimum here, is you need 3 yards of your favorite fabric. You go out to the store, find whatever fabric you like. It's got to be 3 yards minimum, and it's got to be 54 inches wide minimum. Now, if you're taller or maybe a little larger of a person, then you may need more than 3. You may need more than 54. But this is like just average. Just think, if you bring 3 yards, 54 inches wide, then bare minimum, you very well could probably be covered. And what we're going to do is our volunteers are going to measure, cut, and sew a very basic tunic. And it's basically like, if you're a man, it's going to be a robe, or it could be like a shirt. And for a lady, it could be a dress. And depending on the material and how much of it you have, you can have the long sleeves like they would wear. And it's not going to be anything fancy. It's not like, well, I'm going to go out and buy me, $5 worth of fabric, have a $200 costume. But it's going to be functional. And then you can take it home, dress it up. And I always tell people this all the time, Chris. I say, don't just come to the fair. I can come to the fair dressed like this, t-shirt, jeans, and I'll be happy. I'm going to have a good time. But you want to be a part of the fair, get yourself a costume. And you don't have any reason not to if you come to the workshop. I tell people all the time, you can spend hundreds of dollars on some really good costuming because it's not cheap. And a lot of people on a budget, well, I don't have that kind of money. Or I can get a pattern, but I don't know how to sew. Well, come to our workshop, and we'll give you something that's going to be functional and simple. And then our volunteers will tell you how you can take it home and dress it up. Take some hot glue and some trim, or some beads, or the old 90s bedazzlers, stuff like. There's all kinds of things you can do to make it look nice and sharp. And then once you have a costume, then you take it a step up, because you mentioned a character, because that's really where you can have some fun.
I remember when I first went, I heard on the PA system and I want you to say it for everyone to hear so you'll know you're in the right place. Lords and ladies, there is some.
Okay. That's what more people will come up to me, and when they hear me speak, they say, "Hey, wait, you're that guy on the PA." And they may not know anything else about me. You're that guy from the Renaissance Faire on the PA. And basically what I do is every hour and half hour, and quarter hour, I will announce whatever entertainment we're having, and I'll say it like this. I'll say, oh yay, lords and ladies, 'tis at 12 p.m. on your wrist sundial. And people know because they did have clocks in the medieval times, but they were huge, ginormous, so you couldn't carry it. So I was just thinking one day, okay, well, what would be a fun way, because I don't want, because they didn't really have these kind of watches, so I'm a wrist sundial, and it stuck. And then I found out later that there was actually a Weird Al video when he did Amish Paradise. He actually had a wrist sundial in that video. But at the time, I hadn't seen that video. But I was like, yeah, hey, wrist sundial. And we even had a volunteer who made some. She just took wood. She took wood and she cut it out and painted the dial, and then put a cloth strap with some Velcro, and sold them for the round table, the fair, as a donation to the fair for $1. But that's what I do, and because back in the day, if you were a herald, that's what you would hear. If the king's like, I got a big announcement, I want everybody to hear it, and they would have the herald, oh yay, lords and ladies. And if you're in your town, your village, and you hear that, oh wait, hey, there's an announcement, it's important, I got to pay attention, and that's what they would do. So I started doing that at the fair. And when you come to the fair and you're wearing a costume, sure, that's great. But what about a character? Because you're going to find lots of people at the fair, especially lots of our entertainers that do this for a living, and they're going to be character. They're going to be in a character. They're going to have a persona. It's the official word. That's our big word for the day, persona. And you may be like, well, I'm not an actor. That's not what I do. Well, you don't have to be. It's all about letting go and getting back to your childhood, Chris. So we're gonna have some fun today. You're gonna be our guinea pig. Now I know you have a character already because you're a duke, and then you're also the huntsman. So you've got two different characters, but you get to be John Q. Public that has I'm coming to the fair. I've got myself. I'm going to get myself a costume, but before I get a costume, I need a character, because the character I am determines the costume I'm going to get.
That's right.
And so. And because you've heard somebody say, well, you should go to the fair, you should get a character. So we're going to work on that. But you're not an actor. I don't act. I don't do theater. But you don't have to, because if we take acting to its basic level, what is it? Acting is just a person pretending to be someone else. Now, as kids, I hope, we probably all pretend.
Yes.
You with your cowboys and Indians, or you played soldier, or you were the soldier man, the G.I. Joe, whatever. We did some sort of pretend. Well, we played secret agents or whatever, spaceman, whatever it is you played, and you had a good time. Well, as an adult, and especially at the Renaissance Fair, this is where you get to kind of enter your childhood again, because you're never too old to have a little fun, and you're never too old to pretend. Now, I do community theater here in the Shoals area. And that's all. And that's what I say we do. When I'm on stage, I'm pretending for the audience, because I want the audience to escape from the real world for a little bit and have a little fun. Well, at a Renaissance Fair, you're not necessarily doing it for someone else, because at the theater, I'm pretending so that you can have an escape, and that you can believe for a few hours that what you're seeing is cool and real, and whatever troubles or you might be going through, it's gone. At least for a couple of hours, I've made your life better. Well, at the Renaissance Fair, this is all you. I'm doing this for me.
It's me, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
Oh, it's all about you today. And so, because it does make it more fun. Because when you're just roaming around the fair, and you can have somebody come up to you and say, well, good day, my lord. And then, you're just like, hello. Because you don't know. And you kind of, what do I say? What do I do? Well, if you have a character, then you can better interact. And not just with the people who are paid, the entertainers, who might be paid something to do that. Because at Renaissance Fair, especially at ours here in Florence, there are tons of people who are not paid to be there in a costume, but they love it and they show up. And this is their time to play. You ever heard LARPing, the term LARP?
Yes.
Live action role play? Well, we're talking live action role play. We're just not, we're not doing the actual, we're not really LARPing, but in one sense you can just look at it as that's what we're doing. You're an adult, you're wearing a costume, now we're going to get you a character so that you can come to the fair and have a good time. So the first thing we want to do is figure out, okay, what kind of character you want to be. And at its basic level, in medieval times, and this goes up to the Renaissance, because there was overlap in our history, there's three types of characters. The nobles, now they're at the very top of the food chain, just like, they're people with power and money. So you can be a noble. And that means you're going to have a costume that dresses to impress. Or you can be part of the church. You can be a monk. You can be a priest. If you were a girl, you might be a nun, abbess, whatever. Or you could be everybody else. And I'm sorry, if you're not a noble, you're not part of the church, such as your huntsman, you're everybody else. So you'll fall into that category. And so the first thing you want to do is say, well, what do I want to be? And so, and I like to say, the easiest way for someone who's not done anything like this before is, let's take some of your interest. Let's say, and we know that you are the duke and you're the huntsman, so you already kind of have that, but let's say, so what are your interests? Are you thinking, hey, I want to wear a cool fancy costume, or I want to kind of muck it down with everybody else and be a peasant, and there's lots of different ways we can go with that. Or I want to be part of the church. Do you have a preference?
I think just the basic.
There you go. We're gonna go peasant. He said basic, and that's great. Now, the next thing you want to do, so we got the peasant. And the next thing is, well, what do you want to do? Because peasants are a dime a dozen. Here's how it works. In actual history, like I said, if you want a noble, if you want a church, you're everybody else. So basically 98% of the world is everybody else. And that's where you would fall, and there are lots of things that you could do. And at Renaissance fairs, there's lots of characters that we can do that's going to be fun for you. I've seen ladies play washerwomen who they have a simple costume, simple dress, and they get a basket and they fill it with clothes and they carry it around and they're like, well, I'm doing my laundry, I'm doing my family's laundry, or whatever. So that's good. But for you, maybe you're a woodcutter, maybe you're a baker.
I'll be a farmer.
A farmer. There you go. Well, that's simple.
That's very important.
Very important, because you gotta eat. And then so what you would do is, it's simple costuming. So for your costume, it's going to be, because here's the thing, okay, peasants have very little money, so they can't afford the rich stuff. So those deep purples and reds and golds and no. You're in drab city, baby. So we're talking whites and grays and browns and blacks, and it's just kind of, but that's what you got to work with. So that's what you got. Now, basically, you can secure yourself a farming tool, like a hoe or a rake. And the best way to do that is go old. So you look at antique shops, or you go to flea markets, or you go out in the middle of the country to Farmer Bob's barn, who's like, yeah, if it's out there and you want to borrow it, yeah. I mean, something that looks old. You don't want to go to Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot and buy something brand new, because then it's not going to look like it's several hundred years old. So you want something that looks old, that looks used, that looks worn, and then you can carry it with you, and then get yourself like a floppy hat, like a straw hat that's got a big floppy brim, something like that, and then get you just a basic shirt, and your like a white shirt or a brown shirt, and if you don't, a lot of people say, well, what kind of pants? Well, if you don't have anything quick and dirty, sweatpants work wonderful. Now boots, if you have nothing else, you can do kind of a mountain boot, or you can even do a cowboy boot if that's all you got. Because if people are looking at your feet and that's the only thing they're looking at, then, well, I don't know that they're doing something right. So so that's quick and dirty and stuff like that. And might even put some dirt on your clothes to make it look like you've been in the field, maybe some dirt on your face, and then you're good to go. And then you need a name. And then the name, so where are you from, Mr. Farmer? You've got the entire Europe, so just think of the European map. And where would you like to be from?
Let's say outskirts of London.
Okay, now here's the thing. Maybe you're like, well, I don't even know about geography, I don't know, but that's okay. Then you got standard European countries. So if you're like, well, I don't want to have to look that up. Well, you got England, you've got France, you've got Germany, you've got Italy, And those are some great, so there's your starting points right there. And then there's a lot more, but that's a great place to start. But you want to be London. Well, now, here's what I tell people. If you cannot do an accent well, then don't do one at all. Because it's almost nothing worse when you're trying to entertain, to perform. There's nothing worse than a bad accent is worse than no accent at all. So if you can't do an English accent, then don't do one at all. Now, if you want to do one, I say go to YouTube, watch some there, and you just type in British accent. You're going to find tons of videos, and a lot of it, for me, it's just listening to people talk. I listen to people, and I pick up on how they say words and phrases, how they say their consonants and their vowels, and then over time, and it's just repetitive practice. I'm going to sit there and listen, and I'm going to repeat what I've heard, and then you do that, and you do that enough, and over time you'll have an accent. But if you're like, well, that's too much work for me, well, don't worry. You don't need an accent, because, like I say, you're not necessarily doing this so that you can entertain anyone but yourself. It's just going to make it more fun for you, and you can show up at the fair and interact with everyone there. And when somebody says, well, what's your name? Well, you've got one. And then you can even go so far as to maybe write a little backstory for yourself. Well, was your dad a farmer? Are you married? Do you have kids? And here again, what you do, how deep you go into the rabbit hole is depending on you, how much you want to do. You could always just say, well, quick and dirty, I'm a farmer from the outskirts of London, my name is John, and boom.
You're done.
And you're done, and there's nothing else. And then you carry that with you, and then when someone interacts with you, hello, my name, and you say, oh, hello, my name is Farmer John. And goes, oh, Farmer John, where are you from? I'm from the outskirts of London. Yes, I'm a farmer. I do lots of fruits. I do lots of vegetables, and I take them to market and I sell them for my family. And then boom, and a lot of it too. There's a lot of improv in this too. And you may say, well, I don't do improv. Well, it's all practice. The best thing you can do is get with your friends and your family and just say, hey, let's just kind of goof around. And then that's how you're going to get better at doing this stuff, is to just do it. I know if you watch, or did watch, since it's now officially over as of last week, if you watch Big Bang Theory, they do role-playing, Dungeons & Dragons. That is a really good way, even though some people say, man, that's geeky. Well, Dungeons & Dragons is a great acting tool, because if you get with the right group, then it's so much more than rolling dice and scribbling on paper. If you have a good game master, the leader of the game, that can really help you delve into character and develop it, then I say go with that too. But it's like just doing it, just sitting there and doing it. Like if I'm doing it right now, and I'm going to take my own advice, and I'm going to follow you. So you've got your farmer. What's your farmer's name?
Wow, that came out of the blue.
Yeah, see?
Farmer's name. So see, you've got to be prepared.
Well, yeah. Well, so see, you think of your name. So I'm going to think I'm going to be someone. I'm going to be a peasant as well. So that means I don't have to worry about a lot of dress and things like that, because I'm going to be wearing the drabs. And so I don't have to worry about fine clothing and everything. So I can go to our workshop that we have second weekend in October, and I can get myself a very simple, I can just wear myself some dark sweats, like brown sweats, and they look like trousers, and then I can wear them, and I'll just get a basic shirt, maybe a white shirt. And what they'll do is when they measure you, they'll cut it off, and they'll say, well, give me some sleeves, and you can cut it off just below the waist. And then that will give me a chance to get me a rope or a belt to tie it around, so I can kind of blouse it over like this. And so I got my costume, and I'll try to find myself a hat, like a floppy hat, like you might find. And for that, you can go online and look around. But if you just got a straw hat that's got a really wide brim, that works well. Because I'm going to be doing like you, a farmer. I'm working out in the sun, so I need to make sure that I don't want to get sunburned here. I'm going to be something really unique, and this is great. I'm going to be a dung collector.
There you go.
Because here's the thing. Back in our day, okay, Horses. We didn't have cars, trains. We didn't have bicycles. We didn't have motorcycles. I mean, we didn't know. There was no motor vehicle to speak of. So the horse was the primary mode of transportation. And, you know, kings and queens did not want the kingdom to be mucked up with poo. So what do? They have someone gets paid, and it's his job to scoop it up. So how am I going to do that? Well, here you do. So here's what we do. The best thing I can do, if I'm going to do it quick and dirty, find a wheelbarrow. And that, you know, and if you don't have one, you may have a friend. Or if I'm going to invest a little bit of money, I can go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, go to Walmart, and get my set, and preferably metal. But if all you got is plastic, it's okay. And if you wanna line it with cloth to kind of make it look wood, like if you get some brown cloth, you can always make it look wood if it's like modern steel or something. But that doesn't really matter either, because you're just going for the fun factor and not the historical authenticity. Though the more accurate, the better in my book. But we work with what we have. So once you've got your wheelbarrow, then go fill it with dirt. And basically, you want that dark dirt that looks like cow poo. That's what we want.
Potting soil.
Potting soil works perfect. And if you don't have it, then just go out in the field and just get yourself some dark dirt. Now, if you want real authenticity here, then if you can find some manure, you don't need a lot of it, just sprinkle just a little bit of manure in with your dirt. And you're going to get the smell that's just enough so people, they'll be, oh, okay, I know what you're doing. And then just find yourself an old shovel. And then I got my shovel, I got my wheelbarrow, and I'm going to come to the fair, and I'm just going to roll it around, and then occasionally stop, and I'll pick up my poo. Now, my dung collector, his name is Watkins, and he's also from the outskirts of London, because he works in London, and he picks up the poo. Or in this case, since we're in our fictional kingdom of Firenze, which is Florence, which is where our Renaissance Fair is, then I live in the kingdom of Firenze, and our king and queen, King Garrick and Queen Mab, that's what I do for them. I pick up the poo. So I might go along, and I've got my wheelbarrow, and I'll stop, and I'm like, and you're this casual patron, just kind of wandering around seeing the fair, and I'm like, hello, my name is Watkins, I'm a dung collector. Do you have any?
Nope.
Oh, I'll wait.
No horse.
You got me now?
No, no horse.
I'll wait. How about now?
Still no horse, no money.
Well, if you go over there to the food court, I'm sure you'll have some eventually. I can wait.
Okay, I'll go there, you wait here.
Well, how am I going to get the poo if you're over there?
It's just going to have to happen.
Oh.
Trust me.
Okay. See, and there you go. Now he had no idea I was going to do that, but yet he was still able to do some kind of playoff, and it's all about how comfortable you are interacting with others that you encounter. And practice may not make perfect, but practice makes better. So it's all about just having fun, and you can take that farmer character that he did. You can take my dung collector.
I'm Ed the farmer.
Ed. Hello, Ed. My name is Watkins.
Do you have some poo for sale?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do.
I'd like to buy 2 wheelbarrows full for my garden, please.
Oh, that'll be 4 shillings.
I'll give you 2.
Oh, no one's ever negotiated for poo. I've never sold any before. I just dump it out outside the city. Okay, 2 it is.
Okay, here you go.
He's got real money. No one's ever offered me money for poo. And they're real coins. Yeah, that's a real one, all right. Oh, and it looked like that. It's got King Garrick right there on the front.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a lovely man. He has a nice profile photo. I like it. See, and there you go. So and you can take these basic steps and apply it to pretty much any type of character that you want to create. Now, if you're going to go nobility, then you won't be you don't have to be as silly as all that, because what I try to do is with that way, if I was going to do that character with a dung collector, you want to do more than just push your cart around and pretend to scoop up poo, because well, what fun is that? And so you want to be able to interact with people. And whether they're an actual entertainer who's there, because the fair invited them, or maybe it's just a random stranger who's like, hey, I love the fair, I'm going to show up in a costume, then you can have some fun with just going up to them and engaging in conversation. And that's kind of what, and it's a lot harder, at least I think so, to go up and just start doing stuff if you don't have a character. Because if all I got is a costume, then I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know who I am. I don't know anything. And you may say, well, no, I don't know. But if you already have this worked out, then you can simply show up and have a great time interacting. And you have to know, too, that some people are going to look at you like, are you sick in the head? And then some people are going to go along and have fun with it. But because the person that you may say, hey, let's go talk to him, maybe he hasn't got a character. Maybe he's like you used to be. It's like, well, I just show up at the fair. But because you said, I'm going to go and I'm going to interact and have fun, then maybe he's like, hey, you think I could do that? And then you're like, sure. And then you can tell him to watch this video or give him some tips that you used to go and make this more fun, because that's what it's all about. It's about having good time. I call the fair edutainment, because we're learning through having fun. We're entertaining you, and you're entertaining, but you're also learning about history. And that's kind of what we do with the Renaissance Faire and the Roundtable Volunteer Group, is we teach through entertainment. And that's why I call it edutainment. So hopefully, I know we've gone on a long time with this, but hopefully there's some tips that weren't too difficult for you to figure out, that you can create a character so that when you come to the fair, you're not just there, you're a part of it. You're in an active role. And is there anything else, Chris, that you can think of that we haven't covered concerning character development?
When I first started, what I did was I went on and for several 2-3 years, no outfit. Then I said, I want to be the huntsman. Well, no, I want to be the archer. So I changed it. And I've got material that was super thin. Every time when the wind would blow, it would flop up in my face. And then I had the daggets. Well, then through time and talking to people who really know history, that was the wrong choice, wrong material. So then over a time period, I slowly would get the right materials and learn a little bit more through education, and then you start developing that character. And as time goes on, you develop it. And then I bought a pouch, and like we said, some of it can be very expensive. That pouch was $300, but then you could go to another vendor and buy a lesser pouch for $20, $30. You know how much money you have to spend, and you slowly build it up each year, and you save up all year. You can go online, the various vendors that way, and buy different products. And then your character will develop over time, a little at a time.
See, that's a good point that you brought up. And it's simply that you can do what we did today, sort of quick and dirty methods. You can go to the workshop that we have and get a basic thing and then come out and have something. But let's say I want to be a mercenary. I want to be a man-at-arms. I want to be a soldier. I want to be a knight. Well, if you want to go the full route and get some plate mail armor, then you're going to be talking, a couple $1,000 at minimum for a cheap suit of armor. And like a chainmail shirt that's going to cover your chest, that can run you, even a cheap shirt can run you $40, $60, $80, depending on where you buy it. And you may be like, I don't have that kind of money. Well, but it's all like Christopher said, purchasing over time. You start out and you buy this one piece and then this next piece, and then eventually you'll have the costume you want. But let's say you say, well, can I do quick and dirty for that? Well, yeah, so you want to be a quick and dirty soldier. Well, then quick and dirty for a soldier. You want quick chainmail? Get yourself a football jersey, okay? Just go find you a football jersey, and if you want, say, I want to be the cool knight, then get yourself a black one or whatever, or if you get a white jersey, spray paint it silver. Now, when you're up close and personal, that's a football jersey. But when you're standing away, that looks like chainmail. Or get yourself a wool sweater and spray paint it, and that can look like chainmail from a distance. And it's really good to do that. Now, if you're the dedicated type and you have the time and the energy, you can go and buy small PVC, like plumbing PVC, and you can take like a crimper tool, and you can actually crimp off individual. You can crimp off rings, just like and you can actually link chainmail, but you can do it at a PVC pipe. That would be a lot cheaper than if you're going to go and do it with metal. Now you say, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, you can go online, and there are tutorials on how to, what they call it, knitting chainmail. I'm not really sure why, but maybe it looks like knitting. But you can actually learn how to make chainmail online, and it's very time consuming. But some people have done it. I've got friends that have made different things through chainmail, and it's possible. But if you're like, well, chainmail's heavy and the metal's expensive, you can use PVC pipe, and that works quite well. If you want to do it yourself and still link it. But the quick and dirty method is just to get yourself a wool sweater and spray paint it to look like metal, or even a football jersey is even easier if you can't find a sweater. And if you say, well, I need trousers, well, like I said, sweatpants work great. Or get like black jeans, black or even brown jeans, because they make colored blue jeans now that are not blue, but they still call them blue jeans, but they're black.
They look like tan, like your buckskins or something.
Yeah, and
I've got a pair of those, and I wear the black jeans.
Yep.
Because it is very hard to find pants for royalty.
Yeah, they work well, and I know that my brother, he's a volunteer, who you saw in a previous video about swords, he wears the black jeans for his costume because, well, I've already got them, because he wears them here, he wears them where he works, and they work well, and they look like trousers. And then now, if you're looking for shoes, okay, you can go to I think wish.com, and you can buy a medieval shoe or boot, and you can spend, you can spend like $40. And of course, they're probably going to be from overseas, and you have to wait on them to come in the mail. But if you're like, well, I want something now, go to Payless Shoes, and if you're a guy, look for the men's boot. I mean, the female boot. If you're a man, get a female boot. And you may say, what? But a female shoe, a female boot at Payless, or even maybe another shoe store, ladies' boots look like men's medieval boots. I have a pair of boots that I bought at Payless. I got them on sale for $50. I think they're originally like $70, $80, and they are a ladies size 10, but they look like a man's medieval boot, and they work well. Now, like I said, I think at the top of the video, if all you have is a cowboy boot, or even a mountain boot, like if you're going hiking boot, those will work just as well too. But if you really want to kind of look the part, then get yourself a ladies boot, and you get them in, like I have, mine's black, or if you can go online and you can find boots. Now, as far as costuming, if you really want to go the extra mile, Chris has already talked about, you can pay hundreds of dollars, because what in the trade, if you're what they call rennies are people who, that's their thing. They go to Renaissance fairs, whether they're entertainers, vendors, or just patrons who love fairs. And when and if you want to go, and I want the garb that looks as good as I can get, so I can like blend in, and people think that I do it all the time, then you can spend hundreds of dollars, but you don't have to.
Mine has the silver buckles, the round buttons, I guess. And I take my lace and I lace it over it, but to get that, they come up to about where the knee is, and that I think I paid towards $300 for those. Yeah,
they're not cheap. Now, if you know someone who sews, I know here in town, our local fabric store has had medieval patterns for costumes, or what we call garb. Rennies will call some. You may hear costumes, but most times they refer to it as garb. G-A-R-B, and you can find costume patterns that you can go and you can sew. And if you don't sew, you might find somebody that does. And material-wise, you just got to remember that if your character's noble, you dress to impress, and that means the golds, the reds, the blues, the purples, any kind of embroidery work or any kind of pattern work. Well, it's probably too expensive for that peasant farmer or the dung collector to have, because they can't afford it. But if you're going to play a noble character, shoot, yeah, they'll have it. The velvets, for example, are great, because we have a lot of people come to the workshop. The ladies bring the velvet, and they want the long flowing dress with the long sleeves, because as a noble, you had long sleeves for really one main purpose, because you could afford it. Because The others, the peasantry in the kingdom couldn't afford it. I have so much material, I can afford so much material, have so much money, I can have it dangle here, and it's totally wasted because it's not going to do anything. It didn't serve a purpose, but that's why I have it. And a lot of times, you'll see medieval dresses, they have that long train, like a wedding train that goes out, and they have it for that very reason, because I can waste it and have it get dirty and mucky in the mud, and that's the only reason they do it, because they can and you can't, and they want to show it off. So anything else, because we've gone way longer than I guess I intended, but...
you can spend very little or a whole lot. I've got friends that spent $20 on an outfit, up to $3,000 on one outfit to wear for one day, and then on Sunday, they change the outfit to another one.
That's right. And it's all up to you how much you want to invest. And I will also say, too, is that accessories, he talked about
Yes.
pouches, bags, belts. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you just have a standard belt lying around, that'll be good. Now, this that he's got right here, this is our official Renaissance Faire mug, and you'll be able to buy them at the fair. And this one is 2017, but we actually have some that are going to be 2019 this year.
We have two colors this year, as always. So far, we've had two colors, right, each year?
Yeah, well, there will be two different colors of this. But the reason I bring this up is this is this might be a good accessory, especially like I know someone who likes to play the town drum, and if you any of you are familiar with Andy Griffith, the show that was on in the '60s that a lot of people love, there was Otis the drunk, who always was he may be like totally stone drunk, but he'd always lock himself in jail every night so he could sleep it off. But this could be a good accessory, is to have this around, and you can pretend, or you can even get some real, you can even get something real like water, tea, and have it in there, and pretend to be drinking, and you could just kind of stagger around and and if you just do some kind of do some weird speak like that, and people think, "Whoa, you really drunk?" No, you're just acting, and
right.
and this is like this is just another accessory, and search thrift stores. Search like if you have a Salvation Army or a Goodwill store, anything like that. Find old jewelry for earrings, necklaces, depending on what you want to do. Like my character wears a cross that's got jewels in it. Now you look at it, somebody's like, "Man, that's probably cost you hundreds of dollars." No, it was like a 50-cent find at a yard sale, and it's a costume piece, but it looks like it cost a lot of money. And that's what you have to do. You have to find the cheap, and it looks like you pay a lot of money. And well, I want to thank you, Chris, for having me on. I hope that I didn't ramble, and that you guys have a better understanding on how you can take a character and why that's so important. Because I really believe that you can have more fun, not just by dressing up, but making a character. Because when you have a character before you go, then that gives you a chance to interact with others and let them play. You play with them, and then let them play with you, and then you can have just a much better time.
Just show up, get to know people, and ask them questions, and they will help you.
There you go. That's all there is to it.
Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm glad I could be here.
Thank you for watching, and please tune in next week for another adventure in history. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you will receive notifications of each episode. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and we will answer them as soon as possible. See you soon.